And we are back with an all-new episode of Keep It. I'm Ira Madison III, and my co-host does not speak German, but he can if you like.
Oh my God, I still really don't know how to say the name of that Lady Gaga song, and I won't even attempt it. Shiza? Is that it? Anyway, I'm Louis Vertel. I'm back from my 9-day trip to Berlin, and I want to say that I took the time off just for vacation, but I think in actuality, I took it off so that Jay Jordan could handle the emotional burden of discussing Morgan Wallen. Thank you so much, Jay Jordan. Really a vacation for me. Wow, what a stupid pop culture subject that just occurred. And also, you know what? It wouldn't be fair for me to talk about that because I myself was out of God's country during that entire time.
There's no God in Berlin.
No, let me tell you, I investigated and he is nowhere to be found, or she.
And while you were gone, Val Kilmer passed away.
That also was not good pop culture news. Val Kilmer, I first experienced in the movie Real Genius. I think people underestimate his comic abilities. But it's interesting because once upon a time, Val Kilmer's definitive project would have been when he played Jim Morrison. And now I feel like that's less the case because the name Jim Morrison has fallen out of sort of monocultural omnipresence. Like, do children know who the Doors are anymore? I do have to say I'm a bit concerned. I do think, meanwhile, that the movie Heat has picked up over the years, and that now is maybe his definitive movie, aside from the Batman stuff.
I feel like people know the Doors only in the context of reading Joan Didion.
Yes, which, you know, they still do, and she's still perturbed about kids doing drugs in 1969, which she should. Why are the babies doing LSD?
Well, she's dead, child.
Right, but I know, you know, she's sitting like in a in a cardigan in the casket, you know, still like leaning up. But a very versatile actor. When you hear all these other his co-stars talk about him, it's clear that it was very apparent to them he was, you know, an unstoppable force on the silver screen.
Yeah, I really sort of feel like I got introduced to him in Batman Forever. To be honest, I mean,
that was the first time I saw him in the theater, for sure.
Yeah, so I'd probably seen like clips of Top Gun or Real Genius on TV, but it was Batman Forever that really introduced me to him, and of course, he's in that movie with Nicole Kidman.
Yes, which is not as juicy a role for her as you would think, especially since during that time she's doing really interesting stuff. That's when she's getting into the To Die 4 years, etc.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because I remember interviewing her and I asked her about Batman Forever, and she was like, it wasn't just for a check, you know, it was because like I enjoyed those movies. Like, I get to kiss Batman, you know, that was the pull quote from it. And now I wouldn't be shocked if she did a Batman movie because she just does anything.
No, when she became, what did she do with Aquaman? Like teach him to fly? I don't know what Aquaman does. She clearly is it is sort of mysterious. She's like Ang Lee in that she's kind of inspired by everything.
It's time for the intervention.
Yeah, no kidding.
I saw Holland.
Oh my God. Which, by the way, Nicole Kidman, you've already done 8 projects where everything seems so perfect from the outside, but could it really be? Nobody thinks everything looks perfect from the outside. What is this framework on these like Big Little Lies like show that does not exist? Everybody is suspicious of everybody else all the time. That's what makes life a good time. It's why we are into the White Lotus.
Yeah. Maybe we need the reverse of that finally. Actually, everything is perfect on the inside.
That's what I want. Yes. Like, this suburb seems very eerie. And actually, you know, they go to church a little bit often, but that's it, you know.
I really love this old 1996 article about Val Kilmer, by the way, in Entertainment Weekly, because it was titled "The Man Hollywood Loves to Hate." He described him as a difficult person to work with, which, by the way, what a fun cover story to have back in the 90s. Like, back when cover stories were interesting, it's just Entertainment Weekly. Yeah. Everybody hates you. Let's talk about it.
and there's something, and there's like an X Factor quality about it. It wasn't like a death knell, you know, type situation. Even though in the years since, you know, he eventually played Mark Twain, right? He got into some more interesting facets of his performinghood ultimately. But I mean, you and I, of course, lionized the era of that Entertainment Weekly, of Movie Line magazine, where you would open it up. And truly, this is just a 90s thing. Snark was king, you know, like all the comedies from that time, which are maybe dated now, all of them have kind of snarky, bastardly humor. I thought about this when I was watching The Opposite of Sex recently. It was unusually nasty, but that was de rigueur, like the cleanest comedy might have been something like, whose line is it anyway? But everything else had like a kind of bastardly stand-up male comic affect to it.
What's funny, too, is in that article, he's called by Robert Downey Jr. chronically eccentric. This is 96, by the way, 2 years before he got kicked off Ally McBeal.
Right. And he was lighting up the eccentricities himself at that point. Yes. Chronically eccentric. That's like something you say about, Crispin Glover.
Yeah. Wiping his strand of hair away.
Yeah. It's something you say about somebody who is sweating for no reason.
I, of course, also loved the documentary Val from 2021, where he had just been filming himself for years, apparently.
Right, yes. And then he, of course, appeared in Top Gun Maverick, too, in I'm going to call it a strange performance. When I was watching that, I kept thinking of, like, who navigated what to put him in this place in the movie? And then he passes away in the movie, and it's like, I would say it's the most uncomfortable portion of the film.
Yeah, not the ending, when they're on that bike. And you hear "Hold My Hand"?
Oh, yes. I forgot that Stephanie was a big part of that project, yes. And also Monica Barbaro. I forgot she was in that movie, too, until we were reacquainted with her via A Complete Unknown.
Yeah. Anyway, Val Kilmer, there were a lot of beautiful tributes to him from Tom Cruise, obviously, who's going to be making the very last movie ever, I feel like. Mission Impossible, the trailer for that movie looks like the final movie ever, a friend of mine said, and I agree.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe we'll go out on that note. At this point, maybe we'd be cutting our losses ultimately.
Well, speaking of cutting our losses, we got to talk about the White Lotus finale this week.
That'll be. I think we have a lot to uncover and a lot of dead reckoning to do. Quoth Mission Impossible.
We're also joined by the very delightful Marsai Martin this week, who was in G20, the new Viola Davis action movie. I'm sure you have all seen the poster on your morning commutes of her in a red dress holding a fucking semi-automatic.
Just like in my dreams. It's great when things like this turn into reality.
We will be right back with more Keep It. Keep It is brought to you by Monocora. Harvested from the manuka tree in New Zealand, Monocora honey is rich, creamy, and contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. Now, this is sounding like a Cadbury egg, the ones the bunny used to leave around at Easter, but it's a lot better for you. It is 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than your average honey, and all you need is 1 heaping teaspoon each morning to get the most out of the amazing bioactives in Manuka honey. It's a honey with superpowers. Now listen, I add this stuff into my morning routine all the time. First of all, I'm Beehive, so I love honey. And it just really does taste better when you're mixing it into, I don't know, like your protein shake in the morning before you hit the gym. So get up in that honey. Get up in that hive. Now, it's easier than ever to try Monocora honey. Head to monocora.com/keepit to save up to 31% plus $25 worth of free gifts with the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 plus, a Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's monocora.com/keepit to save 31% plus $25 worth of free gifts. That is MANUKORA.com/keepit. Keep It is brought to you by OneSkin. Turning back time is simple with a little bit of movie magic, because when it comes to real life, getting our skin and hair to rewind 20 years isn't so easy. Plenty of products promise holy grail results, but with OneSkin, the proof is in the peptide. Yes, I'm talking about making your body look good. That's what OneSkin is. Specifically, the OS1 peptide, OneSkin's proprietary ingredient that targets zombie cells, aka cells that speed up aging at the cellular level. You can only find OS1 in OneSkin's moisturizers, sunscreens, and now in their latest product, OS1 Hair. This daily scalp serum tackles those same zombie cells in your hair follicles to reactivate your natural growth cycle. Now, if you know me, You know I'm all about my hair follicles. Louis isn't here, but he does need to use it, and he loves using it. You can ask him. So if you're dealing with hair loss, thinning or shedding, or if you just want thicker, denser hair, try OS1 Hair or any of OneSkin's products with 15% off your first purchase. Use code KEEPIT at oneskin.co. I really do love OneSkin because it keeps the skin glowing. And listen, these zombie cells that affect your face, white listeners, you might want to worry about those a little bit more than me. So hit up OneSkin and you can be glowing too. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide. Get 15% off with code KEEPIT at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code KEEPIT. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our damn show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin and scalp with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Season 3 of The White Lotus aired its big finale on Sunday. The episode was 90 minutes long, and about 20 of those were worth discussing. Now that everything has been revealed, we're going to get into the deaths, the standout performances, and all the discourse of where the show should go from here. Let's just say we weren't fans of this season of The White Lotus a couple weeks ago, and the girls were mad.
I guess. Well, here's the thing. I think people really want to defend this show in principle because the pacing of it is so, I don't know how else to put it, adult. Like they want you to stick around and use your intuition to put these storylines together, to predict things, to be mad at certain characters. I think we compared it before to Mad Men. It's a show that specializes in giving you very specific characters and leading them into unexpected places that are ultimately very justified. So there's a lot of chance and potential for, the show to be amazing. And
it's deliberate too. The pace is deliberate. They always want to defend the fact that Mike White says this is a deliberate pace. He had a quote recently when people called the show too slow, and he said he told people to stop being bossy bottoms and to get out of his bed because that's the pace he was setting. First of all, didn't know Mike White was a top.
Nor did I know he had contempt for bossy bottoms, who, by the way, sometimes get the show on the road. I just want to say we're thankful for them around here.
The show is deliberately paced, and I feel like that was my anger with the responses to our commentary on the season so far, because there were people who accused us of having TikTok-addled brains, which fair, but
okay, that's you, bitch. I am never
me.
on TikTok,
That's
so
me.
guess again, motherfucker.
But we watch slow shit all of the time. Okay, first of all, Louis loves a movie where a woman is staring outside a car.
Ding. Girl, I'll put on Anne of the Thousand Days right now. That's 3 hours of Anne Boleyn scheming her way into, still being beheaded.
But this is HBO, okay? It's like the slow pace of an HBO show that is a massively watched popular television show that is beamed constantly online. That is just remedial watching something slow paced, okay? Like you're not reading Dostoevsky here.
Yeah, right. Also, it's like, again, the pacing, et cetera, is why we're invested in this show, like why we want to talk about it. It is an interesting show. But to continue Mike White's quote, he said, "I'm world building. If you don't want to go to bed with me, then get out of my bed. I'm edging you. Enjoy the edging. If you don't want to be edged, then get out of my bed." Funny thing about edging is fun. This show, slow, headed nowhere, not like edging. Edging culminates. And I think my big problem with this season ultimately is that he put all the interesting, he set the chessboard, he put the players out there and then didn't move them around the board. It was a very static season. Edging is such a generous way to discuss what he had actually done with the character. He was idling. I'm sorry. There are characters on this show who are having conversations in episode 6 they could have had in episode 2. And the show still would have had a slow, deliberate pace. I can't believe Jason Isaacs stuck in some migraine commercial or something where he has to gulp and do nothing else for episodes at a time. I like felt bad for him acting on this show. I think to start with pluses though, the three women storyline, which was Michelle Monaghan, Leslie Bibb, and Carrie Coon, we did get a nice moment of catharsis where Carrie Coon explained that she was just grateful to be at the table with these two women who she's experienced a lot of life with, that her life had meaning because of the time spent. Yes. But at the same time, when she says to Michelle Monaghan, I'm happy you have a great face, that's what you say to your friend you appreciate? Bitch, can we get a rewrite on that? What?
Wait, she tells Michelle, you have a beautiful face. And then she turns to Leslie Bibb and says, you have a beautiful life.
Right, which is, okay, that I feel like is intentionally funny and interesting. But also, Leslie, does she have really a beautiful life? I don't know. Interesting. And then that was like the note we left off on them, even though later they witnessed a shooting and run off from it.
Yes. I think that at a certain point, the enjoyment of this season of The White Lotus has largely come from the internet factory associated with it. Whether you're reading memes, whether you're, in Hunter Harris's comments on her Substack, which I love to be in. I think at this point, the show has crossed over into, at least for this season, and bits of last season too, the show has crossed over into you're enjoying it because you're enjoying talking about the show and making jokes about the show. The show itself isn't that entertaining
or provocative,
to be honest, or provocative. I mean, it's funny to talk about the fact that all these people got on a boat and didn't give a fuck that there was a mass shooting on the island.
Right.
But
just moved right along.
It does that make sense for the story?
Another thing that bothered me about the scuttlebutt about this season is I've seen a lot of people somewhat defensively say they're not into the mystery of the show, that it's only about the character development and the interesting interactions, whatever.
Lies.
That to me is some bullshit. One, what we're really discussing when we discuss the show is the mystery, generally speaking. Yeah. And then two, the mystery is a culmination of all the interesting other things about the show. Like the mystery culminates all the entitlement and the privilege, and it answers poetically. It's saying that when you put all this like bubbling under kind of grossness, whiteness, etc., something bad will happen. So to me, the murder is a clever Agatha Christie-like way of still discussing the central themes of the show. So for that to feel not as interesting is like a huge letdown on the show. And I think that's ultimately why I would say this season is like a 2-star out of 4, as opposed to seasons 1 and 2, which I'd put in the 3.5, maybe even 4 range. I mean, there are so many amazing characters. Every storyline on season 2 was amazing. I mean, like F. Murray Abraham, that was the worst storyline on that show. He was fabulous. Of course he would be nominated for an Emmy. Whereas this year, and I said it again, aside from Carrie Coon and maybe Sam Rockwell for a monologue that I have to say I am already forgetting, I don't know that I would nominate anybody on the show.
I would say, too, that I think we reach a point, people forget that we used to have these points in TV shows where you get to like the second or third season slump, you're just figuring things out and then you have to mix it up again. I really think that this show, a lot of the characters did seem listless. They weren't really connected. We've talked about this before, where even the construct of sticking them all on that boat just felt so, well, here they are. Because the show felt very claustrophobic this season. The characters barely interacted in some really fun and interesting ways that made sense, as opposed to the other seasons where they all kept zigzagging and interconnecting. Like, even the shooting at the end seemed very happenstance with, here these people are.
Yeah, right. Oh, Amy Lou Wood happens to be walking by, and now she's going to be shot too. That's another thing. The Amy Lou Wood, Walton Goggins storyline, actually, like several storylines this season, made me feel like I had missed an episode because I couldn't even figure out why they were supposed to be interesting. Walton Goggins is set on this path to meet this guy who you would have to be an idiot not to know was his father. Yes. And there was like no suspense there. We were sort of just meant to like kind of study his that downtrodden, exhausted face and like hope for nuance, but there just was no story there. Anything involving Sritala, I thought was like super boring.
I will say the big surprise for me this season actually is that Patrick Schwarzenegger, I think he can act.
I think he was compelling too.
I
I think to be fair, he got one of the best arcs too.
Yes. He got the best arc, I think, in the season. That moment at the end where he's watching Walton Goggins, get that embrace on the beach. That I thought was a beautiful, like, pained moment from him. What's funny is that, it ends up not being, they don't give a fuck. Like, the emotions are all on his side, but it's all about what he's perceiving. So I love that aspect of it. Regarding the three women, I want to feel like the commentary is on sort of white women friendships, to be honest, because this I'm just happy to be at the table crying thing felt very much like, why are you putting yourself through this relationship?
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just happy to be here. It's like, no, girl, get some friends who like you. I felt very much in that scene, and I don't feel like people were reading this online, but I feel like these women are never talking to each other ever again.
Yeah, right. No, and also that's specifically a storyline that I think could have benefited from interacting with the other characters more. Like, they had the thing with Valentine, like the sleeping around, but Carrie Coon sleeping with that guy last episode, you're telling me we couldn't have gotten to that way sooner? It just wasn't an interesting development for her. What this season needed way more of was, I think, the best scene on the entire show, which is in season 1, when Connie Britton confronts Alexandra Daddario, and they're having that conversation about that puff piece she wrote. And it starts as this docile, vacation-paced conversation, and then turns into her reading her to filth. And like the both of them, and then Alexandra Daddario leaving really puzzled. Things like that I really wanted, which were, because that scene is both, one, believable. I could see that Connie Britton character doing that, and two, surprising, which is again the nexus of surprising and believable is where I think Mike White thrives the best, and I just didn't get that kind of XY factor.
If anything, I feel like there were so many interviews about how they were cutting scenes from the season because there wasn't time, etc., or whatever, which is comical because there was so much time this season.
All they had was time this last episode. All they had was
time. But the three women, I really felt like that was who Mike White gave a fuck about, And it was almost like he needed to create a series about the three dynamic women again interacting with each other. Like, he maybe missed that from Enlightened and like writing about Tanya, etc. And that's what the show was craving. I felt like there were interesting stories between like that and like the two brothers, right? That were very shoehorned into a season of White Lotus, when maybe they would have been better if he'd like written a play about any of those characters.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the Patrick Schwarzenegger family, first of all, the daughter's storyline is exactly what was wrong with this season. We spent 7 episodes listening to this girl being like, I need to move to Thailand for reasons you don't understand, and I don't understand, and the family doesn't understand, but we're going to keep pretending there are stakes behind this, and that it would matter that she would upset Parker Posey, who is upset anyway. And then she makes the decision that she's like too princess-like to ultimately go through with it. That was a bit of a satisfying moment with her and Parker Posey, and Parker Posey feeling like satisfied to know her own daughter and what's good for her. But ultimately, like, then we get to Lachlan almost being poisoned, and of course we knew that was coming. They had the poison berries in the fucking blender. We know those two things are going together no matter what.
Chekhov's blender.
If you will, going off in the third, getting off in the second with his brother. Anyway, then Lachlan justifies his weird behavior in the jacking off his brother during that one sex scene by saying, I just want to please people. Bitch, you were like lingering over his naked body in the first episode. What? That has nothing to do with pleasing people.
Yeah. Also, I like the bait and switch of, with the younger brother sort of jerking him off and then him being, stunned by it and having sort of this revelation. But what is this whole thing then with him being like creepily sexual with his brother and sister early on in the season?
Yeah, no, it just was ultimately a question mark. And of course, we have to talk about Belinda, another person who had nothing to do the whole fucking season. You're telling me her entire season was about one conversation with a guy we knew that would be happening with. It could have easily happened in episode 4 where this creepy guy, Tanya's ex, pays her the $5 million. And then we're just supposed to believe, like in a John Grisham thriller, everything is going to go well for her and she's just going to fly to Fiji and live or whatever. Like, she wrote the Pelican Brief and she's gone now.
And then he's just going to have a bacchanal at his pool because he really wants to give his girl a threesome.
Yeah. It just wasn't interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, maybe when her son Zion was trying to do the negotiating on her behalf, and then she revealed that she was a bit smarter than he had expected. Like, Zion maybe revealing himself as sort of a secret villain of this season is sort of interesting, but at the same time, not really.
By the way, Zion was giving "I got a black skin friend" look like Michael Jackson. And it sounded like him too. His energy was this like dumb bro in the final episode. Was very disconcerting.
Attractive man.
I do want to say, by the way, I don't give a fuck that Belinda left the island and like left that like it didn't have the same feel that it did of Tanya screwing her over.
Right.
You know?
Because it's not a one-to-one comparison either. Like, she was
also,
always kind of dubious about porn shy. Yeah. Right.
Yes. You know, she put it down for him. He got something.
Yeah, right. Right. Exactly.
Lastly, I want to say, I just discovered that Sam Nivola, the twink,
come on.
Emily Mortimer's son.
Bitch, I was on this from day one.
And of course Nivola.
The great Alessandro Nivola, who was just awesome in The Brutalist.
Yes.
Is in every fucking thing. I love Emily Mortimer. HBO
and
veteran.
Craven the Hunter, where he plays the rhino.
Yes. Emily Mortimer was also on Doll and M, an adorable show with Dolly Wells, one of my favorite underrated actresses.
Did you see the Vanity Fair interview where Vanity Fair or Variety? One of the V's.
Sure.
V for magazine. Where Sam asked the cast to guess who which actor inspired him to become an actor, and it wasn't his parents.
No, and whoever plays his
Juliette
sister on the show
Binoche
jumped up and goes, Juliette Binoche. And I was like, all right, Sam Nivola, come on, keep it.
I'm peeping your game.
Yeah, I saw what you did. Yeah. Also, name the Juliette Binoche projects. Is it more a Damage thing? Is it the
right.
Red, White, and Blue movies? I want to know.
We
Certified
absolutely
copy?
need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I feel like Parker Posey or someone recently, there was an actress recently, I'm forgetting who named the Juliette Binoche films, the Red, White, and Blues, the Kieslowskis, as part of their Letterboxd 4.
Ooh, I'm sure Parker Posey has a good answer to that question, so I wouldn't be surprised if it were her. By the way, can I just say, when people are not prepared for the Letterboxd,
come on, they're like stalking you at this point. They're like the Manson murders, okay?
No, they're at every fucking red carpet, and this is why you have a publicist to be like, here, I'm gonna push a DVD copy of Wanda in front of you. You can name drop this if you need to.
Anyway, to wrap up, I called the show Passions before, and I did get some comedy out of the blender, the poison blender. It reminded me of someone eating poison guacamole on Passions once before, but that really was just a lot of goofiness that I feel like is designed for people to laugh about and make fun of online, which there's not a problem with that, but when the memes are funnier and more interesting, you know, what are we doing?
Because Mike White is funny. So there wasn't a lot funny. And by the way, Parker Posey got way too broad this season. I was sort of dubious people celebrating her dialogue when she says Taiwan instead of Thailand. It's like, oh, so she's an idiot. Like that makes no. It's like a bridge too far. And also, you just brought up the Jason Isaacs storyline. I think the note it ended on was particularly bad. Where it's just, actually, things are going to be all right for this family. Who decided on that? No, it's not.
Well, I think it's going to be abysmal. But I did love the twink coming back to life with a whole Rent. Just sort of like, I saw a bright light, and then I saw an angel. And he said, turn around and listen to that boy's song. Yeah. And then his eyes just wake up, and its dad's there. Come on.
Yeah, right. Perestroika shit. Yeah, what is going on?
Also, last comment. People are so obsessed with being a part of the conversation on the show. I'm not expecting we're hiding spoilers and things, but I'm like, I saw someone put on their Instagram like story, just like a screenshot of him drowning in the pool.
Come on.
And I was like, who the fuck does this serve? We all know you're watching it.
Well, it's like the same people who have to yell congratulations at the drag queen who wins Drag Race milliseconds after it occurred. It's like, actually, they're not waiting to hear from you. So you can actually just not do that.
We'll be right back with Marsai Martin. But before that, some quick housekeeping. Crooked's newest series, Shadow Kingdom, God's Banker, is your next obsession. It all starts with a tip to journalist Niccolo Minoni from an old friend, one that pulls him deep into the story of Vatican banker Roberto Calvi, who was found hanging under a London bridge in 1982. Officials called it suicide. Fergie wrote a song about it. But Niccolo isn't so sure. Was Calvi laundering mafia money through the Vatican bank? From there, things escalate quickly. An Italian warehouse raid uncovers a far-right society plotting a coup, toppling Italy's government and forcing Calvi into a corner. Just as he turns to the Vatican for protection, an assassination attempt on the Pope shakes the church to its core. What happens next? Listen to Shadow Kingdom, God's Banker now, wherever you get your podcasts, or binge all episodes now at crooked.com/friends, or on the Shadow Kingdom Apple Podcast feed. All right, when we're back, we're joined by the fabulous Marsai Martin. This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. With Squarespace's collection of cutting-edge design tools, anyone can build a bespoke online presence that perfectly fits their brand or business, just like I did with iramadison.com, the most beautiful website Squarespace has ever powered. Start with a Blueprint AI, Squarespace's AI-enhanced website builder, to get a fully custom website in just a few steps. Using basic information about your industry goals and personality to generate premium quality content and personalized design recommendations. Squarespace also offers a complete library of professionally designed and award-winning website templates with options for every use and category. Squarespace also gives you everything you need to offer services and get paid, all in one place. From consultations to events and experiences, showcase your offerings with a customizable website designed to attract clients and grow your business. Plus, streamline your workflow with built-in appointment scheduling and email marketing tools. And when it's time to grow your brand, get discovered fast with integrated Squarespace SEO tools. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more. So you show up more often on search engines and bring in more of your ideal customers. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/keepit to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/keepit. This week, we are joined by a true mogul. You know her as an actress from projects like Blackish and Little, but she's just as involved behind the camera. She executive produced the Disney Plus series Saturdays, and when she was just 14 years old, she became the youngest ever executive producer for her work on Little. Today, she's here to talk about her latest film, G20, which drops tomorrow on Prime Video. Please welcome to Keep It, it's Marsai Martin.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
This movie is the kind of thing Ira and I dream will exist. Like, we just want Viola Davis to be kicking ass and centrally in the movie. She's obviously been in action movies before, like Black Hat and Woman King, Widows, etc. But here, I mean, she's at the height of her powers, I will say. Talk about working with her, first of all, and just, she's the kind of person I feel like I would just be picking up crazy details about how she operates in every single sector of a movie.
Yeah, no, she is amazing. And I mean, I always saw her ever since I was little through different events or even mutual friends. But to now have worked with her in this high intense project was insane and amazing. And I was fully convinced that she was gonna be like a butthole in my head, because it's like when you're a legend like that and you have all these accolades and you got a whole bunch of stuff under your belt, you ain't gotta be nice. So in my head I'm like, okay, I'm prepared. But no, it was literally the complete opposite. She is so kind and so down to earth, and how I get my advice is normally being very observant. So I will never ask anybody please give me tips, tricks, or whatever, because most of the time I probably low-key won't remember or make sure I'm really locked in to make sure I understand what you're saying. But watching her craft and watching how she perfects it and the little techniques that she does to get prepared for a scene, and all the training that it takes to do things like this, and the team that she constantly has around, like we had the same team that she had in The Woman King, and so she pretty much had that same preparation for that project just as much as, what she had for G20. So seeing that whole process was incredible and very surreal and just inspiring. Yeah.
Mm. I need to know the process behind either rehearsing, filming this big set piece in the film where you two are in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And so, what was it like filming that?
That helicopter scene was a lot. It took a week to shoot, and it was the
Wow.
last week of filming the entire project. So, reading the script, that was the one I was most nervous about because I didn't know how they were going to do it, how they were going to film it, if it's going to look weird or corny or tacky or like whatever that looks like, because I've never seen it myself. And then being with, Miss Viola and Anthony, who is also great at being very psycho and a villain. It was like, how am I put in this like crazy triangle? It's insane. So I couldn't believe that um I was even a part of something like that. But yeah, from day one all the way to, I mean, weeks later, and then having the strike and then coming back, I was still thinking about that one scene and seeing how it was going to happen. And it was fun. It was exciting, and it was a lot and challenging, but when you look at it, it was very worth it. All the ADR, all the things that came into it, all the preparation and stunt work that we had to do, and all the safety meetings that we had to have for it, it made sense at the end. Yeah.
Now, of course, Anthony Anderson is in this movie. You worked on Blackish for many, many years. I have a question. Do you prefer to leave people on past projects behind so that when you go to a new thing, it can just be your new experience and there's nobody there with the expectations of what you were or are? Or do you like having people you've worked with previously on newer projects?
That's hilarious because I toss back and forth with it, I think as an actor, you always want to have that like new experience, and but at the same time, I wanted to have a person that was like my The Rock to my Kevin Hart, like just kind of doing every damn thing, and just seeing what that looks like. But I don't know. I loved it with Anthony though because it felt too new. It felt so new to me jumping into it because we were in a completely different. Um, I mean, we were in Africa. That was my first time in Africa. New terrain, new space, new directors, and working with material that just felt so new that it doesn't matter how much preparation that I had to do with it. I was still gonna feel somewhat unprepared because it was all new. But having Anthony there to have some type of familiarity on set and for us to go band for band on different scenes and going back and forth and to know like his techniques and for him to know mine, it felt comfortable and I felt completely safe, and that was fun to do for sure. And I think there's like, I mean, actors are actors, so I think there's a handful of people that I would definitely go back and forth on partner on movies with, like Regina Hall. I would gladly do a movie with her again. I mean Viola Davis, of course. So I mean, there's some people that's just like an immediate yes to whatever project you're a part of.
Now, speaking of people that you've been on projects with before, too, there's Little, um, where you start in with Issa Rae. And it's so funny thinking about, you two, there was one of her first big movies, too, and
Hmm.
you're both coming from the sitcom world. But she was like this HBO Insecure, and you're coming from Blackish. And you'd been on it weirdly, even being younger than her a couple like 2-3 years before she was even doing Insecure. So
Yeah.
what was that like coming to set, both of you working together? I guess you were like the veteran at that point.
I mean, yeah, it's funny because me and my family, we say I'm a veteran in this a lot of the time. Um, But no, I mean, it was great because I already loved Issa and the work that she's done and knew the things that were coming up for her and just how she is so grounded with where she came from and having that pretty much be the core of all of the things that she has, I mean, coming to fruition. And I mean, she's truly an inspiration to me in that regard too. Like now with her having a restaurant and her beverage line and so many other things. I mean, the record label, it all fits. And that's what I love. And I think more creators should branch off from traditional TV and film and just kind of create where they want to. I mean, there's no boundaries in this. And when a lot of people say breaking boundaries and changing narratives and all that, they normally think like in TV and film, like this is a traditional way of doing it. But there's so many different lanes of different business ventures and entrepreneurial ventures that have not been tapped into, especially with Black women. So I mean, she's truly an inspiration in that regard. And um, yeah, I continue to do the same things in within my core stuff and then jumping into different lanes as well.
We mentioned earlier that you were the youngest ever executive producer on a movie on Little. I want to be clear, you're like 20 years old now. Little is now like a number of years old. So like do the math,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Did you anticipate that kind of milestone for yourself? Like, are you shocked to find yourself the youngest ever producer, or was that always sort of in your playbook from the beginning?
No, definitely not. I mean, none of this was in my playbook. I mean, let's be real. Probably like my family knew because in Black families they be like, oh, I knew she was gonna be all this. Like they be hyping up the baby at 8 months, but yeah, it was kind of like that. But for me, I was just having fun. I mean, I started acting as a hobby, like things that I would do after school back in Texas, and that's pretty much how I take most things on, is having fun with it first. If it's not fun for me or if I don't have passion behind it, then I'm just not going to do it, and that's just always what it's been. And I mean, the accolades are great. The title and the world records are very, very nice, and I'm beyond grateful because I know that's God's plan. But for me, I feel like I'm putting myself at a limit if I decide like, oh, this is the reason why I'm doing this, or I want this, so I'm gonna get this. Because I mean, no one knows what God's plan is gonna be. So I don't want to put myself at a disadvantage trying to do something for something that I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. So that was exactly what Little was. Like I just wanted to create a story that hasn't been seen in this light, especially from a Black woman perspective, and that's just kind of the things that came with it.
I have to imagine, being this young mogul, being this producer at this age, and then still working in other projects with people your own age who maybe aren't doing that. Do you find yourself being asked for, I guess, business advice by people who are sort of your own age, or do you find yourself you like doling that out?
Yeah, all the time. A lot of people ask me about it, and it's kind of funny for me because I'm still trying to learn my own dang self. So for me, I'm like, I don't know, I'm just out here. So you do you, boo. But yeah, a lot of the time I'll go talk at schools or even just see somebody on the street that will ask either me or moms asking my mom about advice, and even my dad. So it's a lot for all of us as a family, but I mean, as long as we know who we are to our core and know what we stand for, it's kind of just like, it's God's plan for everything, and what's for you is what's for you, and you just go from there.
No. Blackish obviously ran a number of years. As it progresses, I assume when you build that kind of family unit, a lot of things become easier. But I was wondering, after a while, is there anything shooting a show like that after a while that actually becomes more difficult? That you like unforeseen challenges that come up from doing the same project year in and year out?
Yeah, I can probably think of two. One of them was definitely not getting stuck in that character. I think oftentimes when you play a character for many, many years and then you jump into another project, it's really hard not to think of it as Diane or like as this is just another, quote unquote, sassy, witty with glasses type of kid. And I mean, oftentimes, like, in the industry, that's the reason why they want you, right? It's because they saw you as Diane, or they saw you do this, and then they're like, all right, now do that again, but for this. And that's kind of not what I really want to be on. But yeah, growing up, it was hard. It was definitely hard for me to kind of break the two. But I think with a lot more studying and kind of learning different tips and tricks that I had to kind of prepare myself to get ready for a certain project, like creating her backstory, or what makes this character different for than Diane, and why is this important for people to see, and for people to understand, and what makes her her and what makes her human. I think all of those are questions that I constantly ask myself with any character that I portray. I mean, in ABC, you are an ABC person. So jumping into different projects was always really hard because I was always on set and I only had a hiatus for like probably 2 months. But do I want to work in those 2 months? Probably not. But that was the only time that I had to jump into other projects. So I had to really choose, like, okay, am I going to stress myself out by working all year long, or take this break and then just still keep doing the same show for many, many years? And you know, and that was a lot too. So those were the two challenges that I had to face growing up.
And what kind of stuff do you find yourself returning to that you watch? I mean, you work so much. Like, do you like watching sitcoms with the same kind of stuff you're on, or do you have like completely different tastes that we might be shocked about?
No, I like Adult Swim. I normally put Adult Swim.
Okay.
I like the Bob's Burgers and the Boondocks of the world. That's my show. And then I like reality shows. I like Love Is Blind. I like $1 Million Secret. That was fun. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that, but that's new.
The new one on Netflix?
Yes, the new one on Netflix.
Yes, Secret Millionaire. I am watching it.
Okay,
And
what do you think?
yes, I love it. I always get stuck on one of these like Netflix things. They had one like that last year too, where they had Money in a Box, The Trust or something. But
I saw that, but I wasn't that interested in that. This one, like, I was like, okay.
Okay, what did you think of, like, so the concept of this show is that there's like 12 people, each of them go into this mansion, and one of them finds out that they have $1 million in a box. And then they have to lie to everyone else, but then there are other clues to try and figure out who the millionaire is. I like the twist that you're able to trade the money if you accomplish something into someone else's box, so you can basically get the heat off yourself. But I thought it was very dumb that woman revealed to everyone that she was the millionaire.
That
before.
was so I get why, because, like, I mean, she was probably very emotional. She probably thought she was kind of out of that whole situation, and people were gonna love her more for it and trying to like keep her in. But no, those people are ruthless. And
you lied for 3 days.
You lied for 3 days. But also at the same time, that's the goal of the show. Like, why are you mad that she lied? That's the reason why she's here.
No, you watch The Traitors, of course, right? Where people get very emotional that somebody lied to them. It's like, there's literally no other way to play the game. You have to lie.
Baby, that's why you're on the show. You gotta lie. You gotta lie to kick it. I'm sorry. But I really do love that show. I think, I can't spoil it, but Sam, the most recent one, I think she's been the best millionaire so far. And I love the advantages that you have to like do and get, and I love it. I feel like I would do good on that show, or somebody in my family.
It's a good test of also just how you interact with people. That's what I love about reality shows, like seeing how people act on them and how we pick up different personalities from people, because there are tasks on the show where you have to give everyone a hug. That's in the first episode,
something
to
really
accomplish
weird.
your goal. But then you think about when you're in an environment like that, or even in the real world, are you going to think that person's weird for hugging everybody? And things are just heightened.
Tell me, when that guy left they kicked him out because he held their hands while he was praying and thought that was
Yes.
an advantage and was like, "You're the millionaire, get out." It's like, no, you just pray when you hold everybody's hand. Like, that's just what we do. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what? Yeah, it's cool. I love that show.
This has also been a really good advertisement for the show. I now have to watch this.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it sounds like the Traders too, where they have like little physical challenges.
It is the Traders actually,
yeah.
But the rules make a little bit more sense for the Traders.
Oh, good. That is the crucially dubious part of that game.
It's actually the trader, the liar, is at some points a little bit more disadvantaged than the traders are, where they have too much power. I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the money switches hands too. If you get the millionaire, if you get like the person out, then the money switches to someone else next time. And so someone who is like a faithful, as you would think, could become like the trader the next day.
Oh, I see.
Exactly. But the money doesn't really count until like towards the end. So that's why everyone is like, I don't want the money right now because it's gonna move.
Right.
But I want it when it actually counts, when I'm close enough to being the winner and actually being the millionaire. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Now, my last question, you already brought her up. Can you talk for a second about Regina Hall, who was on this podcast before, and in person, she is very normal. Like she's like a chatty, down, cool person. And then, of course, I watch her on screen, and she is one of the scariest and most hilarious and weirdest fucking people you will ever see. What was your interaction with her like, and seeing and watching the difference between her performing and not performing?
It's funny because her humor-wise, I can't tell the difference. It's like she always just catches me off guard, and I'm like, girl, wait, hold on. But I've known her for such a long time. She also worked on Blackish as our babysitter. When I probably had to be like 9, 10. So I've been around her for a minute to like understand like what it is with her, and she is so funny and so sweet. And that's also one of the actors that I love, kind of like what she has done within her career and the characters that she has chose to like portray and be a part of, because you have seen her scary, but you've also seen her like just super funny, but different layers of humor. There's sitcom humor, and then there's like dark humor, and like it's really hard to make somebody laugh. But she knows how to make somebody laugh in multiple different ways. So I just think she is so sweet, and I would do millions of projects with her. And yeah, she's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys so much.
God, what a pleasure. Yeah. Come back and hang. We'll all watch a reality show and then like debrief and like compare notes and stuff. Yeah.
This is its own show, guys. Yeah. we can definitely do that.
Our recap podcast we have going on here. Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Marsai, for joining us. And remember, G20 drops on Prime Video tomorrow.